Okay.
Okay, so
Yes. Okay, so before we start our meeting, Scott has a VIP here, and he's going to say a few words.
Front center.
Hi.
right up here.
Right here, turn up, face the camera, put an impressive smile.
In recognition, this certificate is presented to Officer Evan Tislow in recognition of 1 year of service with the Dayton Police Department. Having shown exemplary service and having completed the probationary period, he is hereby promoted to the position of Deputy Town Marshal and assigned all the police hours, duties, and rights under Dayton Ordinance 32 and IC Code 36. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, can I get a picture?
You sure can, please.
Let me get out of the first. None of these police name faces. Yeah.
Do you guys want to get in the picture?
No.
Oh, no, no.
Thank you.
Here's your official police credentials since you passed the probationary period.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Good job.
Thank you, Evan. He's like, get me out of here. I was tricked.
Appreciate it, sir. Okay, well, good utility meeting, service board meeting come to order here. Take a roll call. Mark? Here. Stan is not here. Jen?
Here.
Carla? And Ron here, so 4 of us are here. Okay. Next on the attorney, Alicia, do you have anything for this meeting?
No, sir.
Okay.
Are the mics on?
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Okay, next is the CCMG 2023. We need Colin. You want to talk about that?
Sure thing. Can we go up there, stay here?
You can stay.
All right.
Just talk like so loud.
So loud, can we yell to you?
Sure. It's very exciting,
Yeah,
yes.
just want to congratulate you guys. You have been awarded $420,000 from NDOT in the CCMG project.
Good.
And just because we were that confident you were going to get awarded, we went ahead and worked ahead, and we have your plans ready to go, and we are ready to bid. We did that to get you guys ahead of the other, however many people got awarded. They're all going to be submitting and working on their plans, and we're going to be about a month ahead of them right now. So I have an advertisement to bid here that I would like for you all to at least approve the advertisement, and we will need to have if it's okay with you guys, have a special meeting to accept the bids. We put in there 1 o'clock on Friday, May 12th. It can be May 11th. We prefer not to do it on, let's see, NDOT has a letting on 5:10, so we're recommending either 5:11 or 5:12 to do a special meeting. It does not have to be a night meeting. If we get 3 council people here, to just basically make a motion to take the bids under advisement. We'll open them, read them out loud, and we'll take them and do a bid tab, and then have a letter of recommendation to award on your next meeting, which would be 5/16, I believe.
Yeah.
No, the first one's just opening them up.
Yeah,
Yeah, the first one's just opening,
decision.
no action needs to be taken, just a motion to take them under advisement. We're not going to make any big decisions on that day, just open them up, hopefully we get plenty of bids and good bids. Our goal is to do a notice of bid, let's see, advertise on 4/21, 4/28. We hear that Ron is pretty good at doing advertising.
Very good. Send it straight to him.
Okay, so once we have that date, we'll get that highlighted area filled in with the right date and time, and we should be good to go.
Is Friday, May 12th gonna be enough time? And it's 4 days, and 2 of those are weekend days.
So
For you
that's,
guys.
for us, oh yeah, we'll knock it
Oh, yeah.
out. We'll knock it out. Yeah, that'll
Okay.
give us enough, we'll work on Monday, and get you a letter of recommendation by Monday.
Okay,
And you wanna get these bids early because everybody's real competitive here. so
Correct.
out there, so-
Yeah, so you're gonna have all the communities around here that got awarded CC&G funds, they're all doing the same thing, we're just trying to push it a little bit so we can get in before everybody else advertises, so we can get a good bids and good price,
yeah.
and that way it'll save you guys some money.
I'm good with this date. Can you be there? On this date, Friday at 1 o'clock? You work, I assume, yes. Actually, I know that you don't. Ooh, okay, cool.
So, yeah.
I didn't need you, Mark, stay home.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Anybody can
I'm
go,
kidding.
but I just didn't want anybody to take time off.
No. Unless you're dying to be the one to open them and read them off.
I mean, I can if you want me to, but I don't know that you need to pay me to do that.
No. Colin will be here anyway, so.
I'll be here and I can read them, I'm sure Dave Buck will be here
10-minute
too.
meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're gonna
get
have
that.
to come all the way.
Yeah.
So that was just what we put in there, May 12th at 1. If you guys are good with it, we'll just PDF it to Ron, and if you want to work on getting that advertised on the
Yep.
21st and 28th, and we will open bids on May 12th, and
Yay.
get it awarded on May 16th, and notice proceed most likely on 6/20. So we'll do a pre-con probably right after that 6/20 meeting, and get it all constructed this year.
Glad you guys jumped ahead on it.
Yeah, and sorry, in our billing department noticed that we jumped ahead and billed you already, but you weren't supposed to get the bill yet, so you'll get it.
I know, it
next
gave me a
month.
heart attack. I was
Yeah.
like, but why?
Yeah, because we worked
Well, you're
ahead,
trying to
they weren't
jinx
supposed
us.
to bill it yet. So
Do.
apologize for that. We'll get that.
So that's 2 years.
No apologies needed. We didn't pay you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I told you that.
It's almost $1 million. That's great, fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah, so you guys, we're ordered 420, got a 140 match, and that's $506,000 project. Hopefully it's less than that. But
Yes. It was last time.
yeah,
I kind of liked refunding them because that meant we didn't spend more.
right. So it's also less money on you guys as well.
Right.
And if you have any other questions, let me know. That's all I got for you guys today.
Cool.
Unless you have anything else for me.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You are very welcome. And if you don't need me, I'll probably gonna go home and tuck the boys into bed. But
Yay. After a wrestling match.
yeah.
I saw the pictures. Cool.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Call me if you need anything else.
Yeah.
We will. Okay, next thing is a wastewater credit discussion. We don't have to decide on this tonight, but we need to really be thinking about it, that our ordinance says something about, for 1 year, you can have,
It's like circled it for you.
3 months, up to 3 months credit, but we have a lot of people that have got irrigation system stuff, they're gonna be doing it every year, so we're gonna have to change that. This says for the first summer of occupancy of a newly constructed home, the occupants may petition the town council for sewage credit for the months of June, July, and August as a result of increased water costs for the watering of lawns only. So, everybody be thinking about, we need to do this for the whole town, and we need to start doing it each year, because these people are gonna be watering their lawns every year.
So so there's no way to separate what they're watering their lawn from their normal usage, right?
Right.
Okay. So how is that determination gonna be made?
Well, right now, we have to have 3 months of their bills, and then when they apply for this credit, it's anything above the water usage on those bills, and then you calculate the wastewater from that, and give them a credit above their 3 months average
For the wastewater only.
for
Yeah.
the wastewater. Everybody's
still
always
pay for
gotta
the
pay
water.
water,
Yep.
no matter if it goes on the ground or in your toilet or whatever, you always pay for the water.
So that's 3 months first year? I mean, so if somebody buys a new house and they move into it, the first 3 months, that's gonna become their average?
This is new construction, is the
Baker-
only thing covered right now.
Baker's
Oh,
Farm,
really? So that doesn't, oh, you're saying it doesn't apply to the whole town?
Right, so he wants to change it.
yeah, I think if you, we have a new subdivision coming in, everybody has sprinkler systems in their yards. But there's a couple people in town that have sprinkler systems, and this was set up years ago when nobody had sprinkler systems, just for new landscaping, really, and a new lawn. But now, people can afford sprinkler systems, and they water this. We had somebody using 800 gallons of water and wastewater. Well, that's, so they applied for a credit and get a few $100 back.
I mean, 8,000, not 800, 8,000.
$800
$800.
of water and stormwater, or water and wastewater. And so like if you have, like Baker's Farm out there, they have to accumulate 3 months of not irrigation to get that average. And then we look at their irrigation months, and whatever's above that. they can apply
So it's
for
not
that
gonna
credit.
only be for people with irrigation systems, though, it'd be for.
Well, that's what he wants to discuss, and that's what I kind of think is like, it kind of needs to be all or nothing. Like, I'm not interested in making a new ordinance that only applies to Baker Farms. And my initial thoughts were, we're not Lafayette, but I know Lafayette does this, so I'm using them as an example. Like, everybody in the summer, I don't know exactly how Lafayette does it, but they look at your normal usage, not in the summer, and then whatever you use in the summer, they basically assume that it's because you're watering your lawn outside, or watering your children outside, or filling a gazillion water balloons, or whatever. I don't know, washing your car, people do that in summer, I guess. And they give you a credit, like, just, you don't have to ask for it, you don't have to prove it, they just give you a wastewater credit. I don't think that's a terrible idea.
We need to look at how it's done, because Lafayette obviously can afford a whole different things that we can out here. And we're so big, maybe just takes too much time to calculate them all.
I think Keystone, I think the software that we use has the capability to, like, automatically,
Average your usage over some period of time.
yeah, I've not looked into it, but I do know that there is like that capability, and I don't know if you can set the parameters and like, maybe you don't want to give them a full, like credit for their full wastewater, but like maybe half, or, I don't know like how specific you can be, but I do know that it's possible.
But if you just do an automatic thing, you gotta remember, like, say in July, somebody's toilet's leaking and they use 35,000 gallons of water, and that's going down the toilet, we get charged extra for the wastewater for Lafayette, so gonna have a few of those cases. We'll have to check with Lafayette, how do they determine when something like that happens?
Maybe they don't, maybe they just.
Maybe they don't care.
But that is true, that could happen, but those things could happen at Baker Farms. The people that are getting the credit, you know what I mean? Like they could have something break, some new, something, I don't know.
Sure. So, Carl, anybody, you have comments on that? We need to really be thinking about, because in the next couple of months, we ought to come up with something. We're going to make an ordinance change, and we should do it. But is that okay with everybody, versus keeping it like we have it to 1 year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's across the board, it's not just for people with sprinkler systems.
No, it's cross-border.
So, on my end, are we going to discuss this at another meeting, like you all think about it, decide kind of what you want?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't need to do anything at this point?
No.
Cool beans.
We'll
Just
come up
wanted to
with
make sure.
Lafayette, maybe some little towns, see what they all do, and
And then you'll let me know. Got
we'll let you know the other.
it. Perfect. Sounds good.
Okay, water permit fee. now, when somebody builds a new home, they pay $400, $425, $400 for a water permit for the new meter, and then $25 inspect it. And these meters are getting so expensive, they used to cost us $135, and then they've gone up to $260. Now the new ones are going up to $398 each. That's the meter and the elbow that goes with it. The elbow is about $50. So we need to increase that, because that $400, $425 was based on when they were at $135. And it takes you a couple hours to put them in, at least a couple hours, so there's some cost. So I'm suggesting like $600, moving from $400 to $600 plus a $25 inspection fee. That seems reasonable, at least cover all our costs plus a few hours a day when we're putting them in.
So we put them in, the town puts they have to, the hookup's already there, they just have to install
Yeah,
them.
Malacca's puts all the sidewalks,
Pits,
all the
everything.
pits, all the water lines coming up to there, sewage lines. We just go to the pit and have to hook in that meter.
Mhm. So it was $125 to start with, and it was $400, and they're $395 now.
Well, but the last few years, the last couple of years, they've been up to about $240 to $260. And I think that's without the elbow. I think we've always only been told without that elbow. But, so they, yeah, but it started at when they were back at $135. That was years and years and years ago. And they must have wanted to make, remember back then you had the loan and everything, they probably wanted to make extra money to help pay for all this stuff.
So you think $600 would
You know,
cover it?
talked to Bridget, she was thinking that, I was thinking that. Mark had stopped in here to fill some paperwork out, he thought maybe $125, but I said, no, it didn't seem enough, you know. But at that, we won't be losing any money, we'll actually be coming out a little bit ahead.
So what do you need to facilitate that?
Well, we need a motion to go ahead and increase it,
Change the entire ordinance.
change it.
5206, tap permit.
Yeah, but we should change it and write it up. Include the 600 plus 25 for the inspection.
We need the whole ordinance changed, as opposed to just changing the fee that we're charging.
I mean, what I'll probably do is I'll probably just take the whole thing and we'll just we'll amend and restate it, and then I'll just change the fee. What I've been doing in ordinances is instead of just changing like one sentence in it, if I can get the whole thing and just kind of restate it, not the whole thing, not the whole section, 5206, specifically, I'll put that all in there, because that way, when we look back at it later, we don't have to piece it together with other pieces. So it just makes it a little bit easier for people to follow. So that's what I've been doing.
So 5206 was just recently amended in 2021 when we split the offices, because it included some
So
things.
I'd have to look at the ordinance. What I'll do is I'll probably just amend that entire section. So 5206 has like 5206.1 or something, I'll just do the .1 part that matters. I won't do the whole thing. I'll do the whole section that includes that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty short, it's just A, B, C, D.
Okay, yeah. And
Okay.
usually I just copy and paste it and change the part.
Yeah.
Can we increase it tonight though, so that tomorrow or next day, we've got some of these meters going out, and they're costing us this much right now. So we need to either don't need to wait another month. If somehow we could go ahead and start charging this.
I mean, we can, do a motion to increase the fee, which is as of tonight, and we will ratify and adopt the fee in an ordinance later. Yeah, I mean, we
Because
can probably,
otherwise we're gonna
yeah.
be losing money on these.
Yeah, we can make a motion to increase the fee tonight and have it effective today, and then we can ratify that and adopt the ordinance at the next meeting.
Somebody want to make that motion?
I would make a motion to change the fee for a tap permit that's in 5206 to increase it to $600 plus the $25 inspection fee, making that, what's the word? In effect today, April 18th, and then we'll ratify and adopt that at the next meeting.
In writing, right.
Goodbye.
We're technically making that today.
Okay, we got a motion to change this fee, what Jen said, and by Jen, and then a second by Carla, so we'll take any discussion by the community out there? No? Okay. Have the council got any more? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Mark?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so it's 4-0. Thank you. I just remembered something. In with this, we'll have to be, Greg Malakas had asked me about, they have an irrigation system out along Dayton Road that water all their grass and their pine trees. And he said that, it goes nowhere, there's no house or anything, so it just all runs out on the ground. And I said we probably would do, they'd always have to pay the minimum, like everybody else does, the burnout house, anything, man, has to pay the minimum. And on the water and wastewater, but he could apply and get bring it up, so we all think about it, he could apply and then get a wastewater credit for anything above the minimum. Because his water is 100% running out on the ground.
But this water's metered, though, right?
Yeah, it's metered, there's a pit out there.
Okay, so we know how much is being used, but
Yeah.
It covers what area? It covers what area?
The whole entire front where all that grass is coming up to where the houses are, all on Dayton Road.
so he's not using any, none of it's going down,
It's going into
Wastewater
that
being
pond
counted.
or just all,
Right.
yeah.
so yeah, so, sure.
And he's willing to do that, pay the minimum, pay the minimum for everything. So we just don't have a pit just watering grass, where there's no house there around the Dayton. So, all right, but we'll let him do that. The adjustment requests, there's two adjustments, customer account 209030012. They applied to deposit to the final bill. They got a remaining balance of $44.93. And customer 1270703, they applied to deposit to the final bill. Bridget did, and the remaining balance is $72.68. We just need approval on these.
I'd make a motion to approve these two adjustments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Jen to approve these adjustments and a second by Mark. Take a roll call vote. Mark,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Carla,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, any public comments? Okay. Council comments? Mark,
No,
Jen,
Nope.
Carla? I don't have any. All right.
Save
close
them
it.
for my meeting?
Huh?
Save them for my meeting?
I'll close this meeting, turn it over to Jen.
Thank you. This is the April 18th Dayton Town Council meeting. Ron's already done roll call. Nobody has left and nobody has joined us. Okay, attorney. I have two things under attorney, but really it's just one thing. The other thing's just kind of an update, but
I assume that I'm not talking about the one I don't know about.
Yeah, yep.
Glad to hear that. So I'm talking about the UCO 107 Plan Development Amendment. It's pretty lengthy. I'm not going to go through all of it in detail, but I will give you kind of the highlights. So essentially what this does, there is already in the UDO use plan development where you can basically get an expedited like rezone for planned development, and that requires kind of a process to go through in order to utilize that type. And what this amended ordinance does is it provides additional details on what they can do and different types of planned development. So for example, they would have residential plan development, PDR, PDRS, PDNR, which is non-residential plan development, PDNX, which is mixed-use plan development, and then PDCC, which is condominium conversion plan development. And then what the ordinance does is it lays out all of the requirements in order to qualify for a planned development as opposed to doing the normal rezoning process. And so they have a conference before they submit the plan, and then they have to have a bunch of filing requirements with a request and a draft of the plan, and then they have a plan meeting, and then an application, and then so on and so forth. There's a hearing, all kinds of things. So it's not without any, red tape, but it just makes it so that they don't have to go through the normal process, and they can kind of come up with a way to kind of expedite this and provide a zone that is going to be developed in a specific way with agreement between the Area Plan Commission and the developer.
Any questions? No? No. Any questions out there about this very long amendment? Okay. 1 second. I gotta look up what ordinance number we're on. Hold, please.
It's just for the human rights ordinance criteria. Whenever they update it, we have to approve it.
All right, resolution to annex this. Usually I have this, but maybe not usually, but I've remembered to look this up before. What if I get it wrong?
The ordinance number?
Yep.
I mean, it's fine as long as it's not the same as a different ordinance number that we already have. That would be kind of problematic.
Speak faster, I just went to look. I think it's 8. Because I think our annexation was 7.
There hasn't been anything
All right,
beyond that.
all right. And if I skip one, that's fine.
I mean, yeah, practically speaking, the impact is negligible, so.
Until years from now when somebody's looking
Someone
for
might
it.
get confused, but like, it's not.
Okay, the annexation was 2023-7, so this is 2023-8. Thank you for your patience. All right, I would move to approve ordinance oh, no, we have to go through the whole thing, don't we? Let me get my cheat sheet out, see if I can do this correctly. Perfect. This is fun. I would move to suspend and read by title only ordinance number 2023-8, an ordinance amending the Unified Zoning Ordinance.
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Mark to suspend and read by title only ordinance number 2023-8. Is there any discussion? Okay, how do you vote, Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla? Yes. And I vote yes, that passes 4-0. So I would make a motion to read to...
No, now you gotta read it.
I would make a motion to pass on first reading ordinance.
First, you have to read it by title only.
Ordinance number 2023-8. I move to pass on first reading.
read the title. An ordinance amending chapter 2 of the ordinance, being unified zoning ordinance in Cuyahoga County. Now you can move.
I move to pass that on first reading. I will never get this.
You move to suspend the rules and pass with one, are we passing it one night? Are we
Yes.
passing it one night? Okay, so you move to suspend the rules and pass on with only one reading, is what Jen does. And then Carla seconded that. And then you pass it.
So three things, right?
First, you read it by title only. You suspend the rules to read it by title only. Then you suspend the rules to pass it on one reading. Then you pass it on one reading. So we've now done part 2.
Well, you gotta vote on it.
Yes.
Is there any discussion about that? No? Okay. Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So now the easy one. I would move to adopt ordinance number 2023-8, an ordinance amending the unified zoning ordinance. Yes. Is there any discussion about that? Okay. Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So that's adopted, so we'll sign that and send that back to them. So the next thing, did you have anything else? No. So the next thing under attorney is the North Dayton annexation. I just wanted to let everybody know that that's still rolling along. We are waiting for info from some people smarter than us to give us facts about it, like fiscal impacts and stuff like that. So,
Do we have steps, we have process, we have anything like that?
Right.
People who call and ask questions.
yeah, it's kind of a waiting game. We don't have any information, so we can't really call any meetings yet. I mean, if we called a meeting, we wouldn't be able to give them a whole bunch. So,
Understood, but they're wanting to know when those meetings are ready. Are they gonna be notified and?
of course.
How? So like the letter that they received about it, would they also receive a letter about this meeting is coming up?
Yes.
All of those meetings?
Yes.
going forward?
Yes.
That was a big one for one of them,
How many people called you?
a couple people. But at least, but one of them was speaking on behalf of a group of people. But, so,
All right. Allowance docket. Was that all? Did that answer your question? Yes. Okay. Allowance docket. March 2023 allowance docket. I move to approve the March 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2023 allowance docket. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Mark to approve this allowance docket. Is there any questions or discussion? How do you vote, Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
yes.
And I vote yes, so that's approved 4-0. Next is the claims docket. This is the claims docket dated April 18th, 2023. I move to approve the April 18th, 2023 claims docket in the amount of $95,971.03. There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Carla. Is there any discussion or questions?
I have one question.
Yes.
So, for the sewage, City of Lafayette, it says special sewage,
That's just how they
Is it
label
always
it on
says-
their bill.
special, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was anything different.
It's not actually, I mean, it's special because it's from us, but I don't know why they label it that way. Was that it?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that was it.
Very special. How do you vote, Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that's approved 4-0. All right, and next are all the reports. We finally have the bank recs from January, February, and March done from Susie. So I move to approve the following monthly reports. January 2023 appropriation report, bank reconciliation, fund report, and revenue report. February 2023 appropriation report, bank reconciliation, fund report, revenue report. In March 2023 appropriation report, bank reconciliation, fund report, and revenue report. Is there a second?
I'll second.
there's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Mark to approve all these reports. Is there any questions or discussion? How do you vote, Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote absolutely yes. I'm so excited to get these off the agenda tonight. So those are approved 4-0. Next are the minutes. I move to approve the following minutes. March 21st, 2023 Utility Board, March 21st, 2023 Town Council, and March 21st, 2023 Executive Session. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Ron to approve our minutes. Is there any discussion? Questions? Okay, how do you vote? Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so those are approved 4-0. All right. Next is the clerk treasurer office. So 2 things with that. First thing, we finally heard that the audit is coming, but the first step in an audit is for them to get on Gateway. And I think I said this last month, every month on Gateway, the clerk treasurer is supposed to upload certain documents. Our approved board minutes, our fund report, our bank statements, our bank reconciliation and outstanding checks. That might be everything. So, the email that I got from the State Board of Accounts said, this hasn't been done for the years 2019, 2020, or 2021. Magically, it was done in 2022 because that's when the old clerk quit and that's when I started uploading them. So, did I say this last month? I feel like I said it last month. It's been a disaster trying to find all the things that were never uploaded because they weren't just not uploaded, they were just, I don't know if they were ever organized. But the good news is almost everything is up so they can start their preliminary audit. So then soon after that, they can come in and actually get to the real audit. So that's exciting because we've been waiting for this audit, so the audit's finally happening. Shout out to Bridget for helping me get those things found. Second thing for clerk treasurer's, what?
Do we have a date?
No, I wish. Second thing for the clerk treasurer's office, speaking of Bridget, who helped me pull some of those things, she is going to be transitioning over to become our new clerk treasurer. Obviously, that would take a board vote, but she's been learning all the things. So, in order for that to happen, we need a new Bridget, because she's only one person, and we can't clone her. So, before this meeting, we had an executive session to interview someone. I think it went very well, and I would like to offer the utility clerk position to Tracy that we interviewed before this meeting.
Contingent on a background check.
Yes. Well, I figured it takes a motion. I thought we could discuss it before I don't want to make a motion for this, you know.
Did you make the motion?
No. I just said I want to do it.
What was Tracy's last name?
Sorrel? Sorrel? Sorrel?
Sorrel. I'll make a motion that we hire Tracy Sorrel, contingent on background check.
Second.
Do you want to include, our salary ordinance right now has a range. So we would have to offer her pay. That's not set in the salary ordinance, it's a range from 10 to 20. So that is, let's just do this and then we'll decide that, okay. There's been a motion made by Mark and seconded by Ron to offer the utility clerk position to Tracy contingent on an approved background check. Is there any discussion or questions about that portion? Okay, how do you vote, Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla? And I vote yes. So now we need to discuss how much we're offering her.
I would suggest we start at $15 an hour.
That is kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
At least for like a, I don't wanna call it a probationary period, because that's terrible, but like a probationary period. Okay. Did you make a motion, or did you just say, that's what you did?
I make a motion, we start her at $15 an hour.
Perfect, I'll second that. So there's a motion made by Mark and seconded by me to offer her the position starting at $15 an hour. Is there any discussion? Or questions? Or comments? Okay, how do you vote, Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla? Yes. And I vote yes. So I'll give her a call. And then Bridget's agreed to train her, which is awesome. And Bridget's already been learning the clerk treasurer stuff, so.
So, is Bridget, are we gonna wait until after the audit for her to take over as clerk treasurer?
I don't really want to because I don't know how long that's going to take.
Is there any consequences of not doing that, not having that in place?
It's just a cleaner break, is to know we all have it here, that she started. It'd be nicer, but if they're still not giving me a date, even though they say they're coming, and if she's ready to move, at least it's gonna be in the same year, it's gonna be within a few months, and we can probably, that'll be easier to. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, they won't audit us up to April of 2023, right? Isn't that how audits work? Wouldn't it be 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022?
I do not know, that's probably right.
Yeah. We don't have to worry about that. We need to get her in here right away.
The bulk of it will be before she started,
Yeah.
and so that's.
I just want to make sure that there's not going to be any liability on Bridget's part.
Oh, and I don't think she'd be liable for something she didn't do anyway.
She shouldn't, but it's just nice to have that
Yeah,
fair break.
yeah. That makes sense, but. So you're good with that?
Yes.
Starting her, all right, time clocks. So, what we need, we don't really need anything super fancy or like fingerprint or like retina scanning detection, but just some time clocks that when you clock in, it self-calculates the time. Because right now, I have to take the time cards and I have to calculate the time. And while I am basically perfect, there have been mistakes made calculating those, and I always have someone double check them, so it's always caught. But it would be nice if the machine, who's slightly smarter than me, calculates it, and then I can calculate it,
So
and then it's already
have
good
you
enough.
found this machine?
Well, I found options of machines, so what I would like is approval for up to I think we need two, because one here, because Eric and Bridget clock in here, and, yeah, just Eric and Bridget. Eric and Bridget clock in here, and then one at the police station for the police officers. So I'm thinking we need two, and they should not be any more than $500 a piece. So if we could get approval for up to $1,000 for new self-calculating time clocks.
How are those maintained? What's,
They're really not any different than what we have now. And
they self-calculate the time.
yeah, like they come with a key. So I guess the clerk treasurer would keep the key to it, maybe, because they don't have to, council keeps the key to it. But other than changing the ink out where it goes, it's still like a this kind of thing, where it stamps the time on there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'll make a motion that we approve up to $500 a piece for two time clocks.
I'll second that. All right, there's been a motion made by Mark and seconded by myself to approve up to $1,000 to get two self-calculating time clocks. Any questions or discussion or comments? Nothing? Okay. How do you vote, Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla? Yes. And I vote yes, so we'll get those bad boys ordered. Okay, updates. Front sidewalks. Ron, what do you have for us?
Okay, probably starting next week, we'll be ripping this out in front and framing it in and everything, and then probably the week after they'll lay the brick and stuff like that. So, next 2-3 weeks, we ought to have
I'm
What?
so excited. Okay, town hall streetlights, what do you got for us there?
Okay, the street lights are ordered, all the paperwork, everything's done for them, and they ought to be, it'll take, I think they said, 8 weeks, hopefully less, but, they'll send us a plan for to mount the concrete and put the bolts in, but all the things up, we'll get them made ahead of time. We'll have to measure out here, and put some stakes along there, and everybody can look, see if they like the positioning of them and everything, so. And then they're looking for, on the side of the building, the curved lights that will match these and will hang out if we want to go with them. We can come up with some, but they were real gaudy and expensive and everything, so,
So,
yeah.
this isn't really an update, but it reminded me. Oh, your building is in maintenance. Hey, I have a question for you. What do you think about getting a quote or a estimate or something to put awnings like that over the front?
Yeah, I saw the picture, I think.
Yeah,
I think it was
it's so
really
good.
sharp, it was building up,
Wanna do that?
yeah. I'll-
Cool. Cool. Sorry, Ron.
No,
I don't want to break my thought. Was that it?
yeah.
Okay, digitizing tape. Carla, what do you got for us?
I'm still waiting to hear back.
Okay. Codifying the ordinances. We are still missing some. I don't have all of these, which is kind of terrible because I feel like we've gone through every paper in that safe. So they're not ready to send in yet, unfortunately. I was hoping for better. And I don't know, what do I do if I can't find them?
Like, what are we missing?
Like, I don't know.
So you're missing because you're missing the number? You're missing the sequential number? You're-
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so maybe they just missed
It's
them.
never possible.
Right. I mean, if we can't find.
Who would do that?
So, okay, so
Would-
in our, when you get online, you look at our ordinances now, there's one section where this was done before, I assume, because it's got all these ordinances in there, okay? Are you looking for some of those that you're missing?
For what? On the website?
Yeah,
No, I have all those.
you have, okay, you have all that stuff. So
Yeah.
you're just,
It was
you're missing some numbers that you don't know
Yeah.
that could have been, just like what might have happened tonight, you went from 8 to 9, or you went
Yeah.
from
Are
7
these
to
current
9.
or are they?
Or now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it's like a Uzo amendment or something.
Well,
that
the
I should be
other
looking for.
thing you could do, although this would take time, but the other thing you could do is go back to the meeting
Minutes,
minutes. It should
yeah.
theoretically have all of the ordinances that were passed in the meeting minutes.
And that won't take me as much time because I just had to find all those minutes to upload to the gateway.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, if we go through and we have ones that we think are missing, you could theoretically kind of pinpoint what range of dates those might have been passed in and just look at those minutes and see if one was passed or if it's legitimately just misnumbered. And then if there was one missing, we don't know what it is, hopefully in the meeting minutes would have enough information that we could either piece it back together and, ratify it, or, re-adopt it, or, we could just repeal it, because we don't know what it is.
Okay.
So, I mean, we've got choices, but I would probably,
Start with the minutes.
right,
Yeah.
that's where I
Are
would go.
they newer ones? Newer, like within the last 10 years?
Oh, yeah. They were last codified in 2019, so I'm trying, but I'm trying to find all the 2019, and then 2021, 2022, 2023. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I do though.
Cindy.
is there a comment about this? Yeah. Can you please state your name and address for the record and speak very loudly?
Cindy Marsh, 749 Shady Lane, and if you do figure out that you're missing something, I bet the attorney at the time might have that.
It's possible. I mean, we keep, at least in my office, I have like a file of ordinances.
In an email.
Or
I bet it's an email
You can find that.
from the attorney,
And if you
if
get,
it wasn't deleted.
and if you get the meeting minutes, you can probably pinpoint kind of the date and do a search to see. for
You guys are also very smart, so I keep you around. Okay. New bank possibilities. So we sent those letters out to say, hey, we're looking for a new bank. Give us what you got. And we've heard back from 4. And the plan, I'm thinking, is Ron and I can set up meetings with the different banks. And they've sent like envelopes with their proposals or whatever, but talk to them and make sure we get all of our questions answered, and then we can kind of let you guys know, like, hey, this is the one we're thinking. That way we can let Alicia know which one, so that she can drop the resolution, ordinance, resolution,
I don't know which one it is.
whatever we need to actually switch banks. If you guys are comfortable with that.
Probably a resolution.
Would that be okay with you? We need a motion for that? For that to happen, to let us ask you to drop our ordinance?
No, I think you
Resolution.
can just create an ad hoc committee, and the ad hoc committee is gonna come back with a report.
Want to be on an ad hoc committee? Cool.
There you go. And then
Okay,
you can go talk to the bank, and then come back and report back to the board.
But-
And then we'll need a decision, and then we can do a resolution.
Well, see, I was trying to avoid having to have a meeting to ask you to do the resolution.
If you guys have a recommendation, and generally speaking, when we have a committee, and the committee makes a recommendation, the board generally is in favor of that, you can just tell me what your recommendation is, and I can have a resolution prepared, and then if we don't want to approve the resolution, you can just not do that,
Okay,
and it's no problem.
okay, great.
And then at some point, feasibly, we'll want to switch banks, so if it's not that one, then all I'll have to do is swap out the name.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
Love that.
Just let me know.
Okay. Ad hoc. Great. Marshall Taylor. The first order of business is Department Furnace and AC, which I guess is not Marshall Taylor, is Mark Forster.
Okay, so finally got all the players' numbers together here, and what we're looking at is essentially 80,000 BTU furnace. They're 95-96% efficient. 3-ton air conditioner, 13 SEER, 5-inch filter, and a thermostat. That's quotes from everybody. And I wanted to put this together so that we could do a service contract, which would be good for 3 or 4 years, depending on who we went with, and to come up with a total cost. The way I told them I want the service contract to work is that we would commit to 4 years of service, that we would not be billed until next April, and then we would be billed yearly past that. So in order to do that, Brand, they threw in 3 years with their quote. So I had to get quotes from everybody else. I got 4 years from them. So the cost came down to, with a 4-year contract, service contract, the furnace, the air conditioner, the filter, the thermostat. Anderson was $12,681. Brand came in at $13,745.
I'm sorry, what was that? So 13.
$13,745. and Snyder Lennon came in at $14,200. So I would recommend that we go with Anderson, and so the initial cost for this year would be $9,497, and then the annual service contract is $796 a year for 2 visits. They come out twice a year, replace the filters, flush the drain lines, do their things. All said and done, Anderson was low cost, and their service contract was a little bit higher, but all said and done, it still ended up them being lower cost. So that's what I would like to go with.
Is this moving this furnace or anything, or is this just?
No,
making
this
it-
is replacing the furnace exactly where it's at.
Okay. How much does a furnace cost?
I don't know, but the.
Like just in general, like how much does a person pay for a furnace?
I got quotes for the furnace, air conditioner, and filter and thermostat.
Okay, better question. If we didn't do this service contract, would we really pay $800 a year for a new filter and flushing lines?
Based on what I'm seeing here, that's what they're gonna charge you. Which I was pretty shocked myself that they were all back, essentially it all works out the same. You got the same size furnace, the same size air conditioner, the same size filter and a thermostat. All these people, same thing. Okay, you can play numbers around with the service contract, you can play numbers around with the furnace.
Yeah.
Okay, it's essentially all worked out the same. And the way I looked at it this way is that for the next 5 years, essentially, we know what we're spending for the next 5 years.
So this $796 is 2 visits to change the filter and flush lines, but if something else happens,
If something else happens, then there's warranties that you have on the thing too. Generally speaking, like the burner unit, there's like a 10-year warranty on that. So, and depending on what the warranties are on the other parts, usually there's like probably about 5 years on these things. But I don't have those
oh, that's
that
okay.
specific
Oh, that's okay.
warranty information
I
on
don't
all
either.
those things, but it should be about the same.
Do you think some of the service contract is a little bit higher based on the accessibility of changing the filters?
It's possible. Actually, Anderson said that they were planning that they would have to spend extra time because of the situation where it was. But if you look at Anderson, theirs was $796. But look at Snyder Lennon's, theirs was $750. So I mean that's really close. But their furnace, the price of the furnace is probably different. So and brand, I can't tell you what that would have been, but it was all the same. They were going to have, then the brand said they wanted to build a platform, leave a platform out there. We don't have to worry about that with Anderson. And it's the lowest price.
But would Brand build the platform and leave it out there if we paid more?
No, that was that was in their price.
What was the price difference?
$13,745 for brand.
So $1,100.
And is having a platform that beneficial?
Apparently not.
Would be for me. That's so scary. It's like literally dangling over a
So
7-story truck.
the brand built a platform, are they talking about still up in the air platform or down?
I don't know. He just said a platform. And these other guys don't need a platform, so
But if there was a platform, can we change our own filters?
Do you know how to service high efficiency furnace?
No,
So,
absolutely not.
do you want to go to school to learn to do that?
Absolutely don't.
Do you
But
think
if it's
maybe-
just-
Do you think maybe it would be wise to hire people who are professionals doing that kind of stuff?
No, not making
Even
future,
that,
but
that platform for $1,100 isn't the kind of platform we're thinking about, moving the whole thing down and everything, that costs several thousand. That might have been just something like a ladder, you know, that they got out there.
and it was crazy expensive to like move it, right?
It was probably gonna cost us another $6,000 to do.
Yeah.
So, it's been there for 30-plus years. It'll be there long after we're all gone. Again, you know,
Where am I going in 30 years?
and so for the next 5 years, we can have this, not have to worry about what might have to happen next. And by then, Jen, maybe you'll have your license and you'll be able to
And I can
go out and you can go
yeah.
out and service it yourself.
I'll do for like $5 a ham sandwich. Yeah.
Can I get a service contract from you for that?
In writing for the
Right,
future, when I
for
have
future,
my,
yes.
whatever you need
After
to do
this-
this.
After these 5 years is up there.
Yeah. I'll go, I'll be
And I
in the
think
sixth
we've
year.
accomplished quite a bit here tonight, folks.
How would you do that?
So we need a motion.
Is it got the-
Correct.
is that heavily in?
No, any year.
Any-
Yes. Go on.
I'll make a motion to have Henderson put in a new furnace for $12,681.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made by Ron, seconded by Carla.
So it's gonna be, that's gonna be the total cost, including the service contract.
For
First payment's gonna be the $9,497.
Do this year, do after
That'll be
installation.
after it's installed this year. Next April, then we'll start getting a bill for the service contracts from 4 years, starting in 2024.
Okay,
That's good.
what happens if that ends? What's
What ends?
the contract?
And when it ends in 5 years?
No, like, so let's say, like in 2 years, whoever's sitting here says, no, we're not doing a service contract anymore.
No,
We're committed to this.
We're committed to that. It's no different than the sign that's down here, that you have a contract with somebody. Once you sign a contract with somebody, you're committed to it.
But then once it ends, then,
Once it ends, then you
you
then you can do
renegotiate it or
something-
you go
do
somewhere
something
else or
Right.
for service.
Should we have Alicia look over the contract before it gets signed? Do you have it that you can send her? What?
I mean, you should, but they're not gonna change the terms.
No, but should you look at it? Is it contract?
Probably.
Isn't that what we do? No?
This is a standard contract. You can look at it.
I mean, I can look at it
Do you
now,
wanna-
or I
do
can
you wanna
look at it
amend-
I don't know
after
if
the
it-
fact. It
Do you
doesn't
want to
really-
amend the motion upon attorney approval on the contract?
Sure.
I mean, the bottom line is, they're not gonna change their contract,
Yeah.
so I can look at it and you can approve it, and then I can look at it and just tell you what the things you need to be aware of are. Just, they're not gonna change it, so.
Make a
Yeah.
motion to spend $12,681 for the service contract and the furnace
Oh, good.
upon approval of our town attorney looking at it, ensuring it's in order.
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions?
So let's move.
Does anybody want to spend more time on this before we vote? Ron, did you have anything? How do you vote, Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla? I vote yes.
Thank you. Next.
Yep.
The council asked me to look into no-through truck ordinances, what we had, what we need. We do have an ordinance in place in 71.01, I sent you all a packet with a copy of that ordinance. Basically, it states no trucks other than pickup trucks, passenger trucks, and vans shall be allowed to operate on the posted street unless they must use a particular street for a local delivery. So the key being, streets must be posted. Currently, we have 1 or 2 signs that are inappropriately placed on Dayton Road, and that's it. And I say inappropriately because you would have to actually turn on the Dayton Road to read the sign, and by that point, you're on the street, and so it's not effective. So I would suggest to properly post the town for no through trucks. The second page of that packet was a sign that says no through trucks, which is DOT approved. It's 18 by 24. Cost is around $30. The next page is where I suggest we post these in a description of that, those locations, plus the number of signs that we would need and post based off of our current inventory. So there's a list there. We would need a street marker for one of the locations down south, a couple street markers for up north of Haggerty and Dayton Road. We have a couple in inventory that are bent, but I think they can be utilized. They still look in good shape. We have a bunch of posts I saw in the barn. So basically around 16 signs. I would suggest ordering a few extra in case damage, or we decide to put some more up in the end.
Scott, some of those locations are not in town.
They are, that's correct. And Ron has spoke to county highway department, and basically they said they don't have a problem with us posting signs, just let them know when and where they're gonna be posted. So they were afraid we were gonna throw up some non-regulatory sign. They didn't wanna have to be worried about them coming along and taking it down. But since they're gonna be DOT regulatory signs, it should be pretty self-evident, but we would provide them a map of all the locations where we plan to
So
place these signs.
they need,
They help position.
so they're gonna need to be located, make sure there's no gas lines or anything.
Sure. Wherever we pull a post, we'll have to be located. The majority of these locations, the signs will be posted on existing poles, but a few of those locations would require additional posts to be set. And the thought behind that is, for instance, up at Haggerty and Dayton Road, we would want east and westbound signs prior to the intersection on a Dayton marker, Dayton Road marker, so that people would know on Dayton Road that no through trucks were allowed. So they would have pre-warning. Same way down at 375 South and Dayton Road, we would need one post down there, and then additionally all the way down Wyandotte and Dayton Road, two posted down there for traffic. So that would basically protect all of the town, and we would have warning against no through trucks. So we have an ordinance. Basically, you just need to give the go-ahead to get signs purchased. Now, normally, our street department guy would, they're familiar with what to order, what clips they need, what material they would need to do that. So that would be something he's organized.
And in talking with the county, they said too that this summer they're gonna redo Wyandotte and Dayton Road, the triangle intersection. So that's on their agenda also. And then also help us pave the part that's down to Baker Farm. You know, to help preserve that road, they're gonna pay a lot of that, what our share will be later. Because it's all breaking apart.
If I'm reading the council right, we're wanting to, it's not a big problem right now, but we're wanting to protect the town for future
Right.
expansion and growth, and be able to enforce that should we need to. So, we get the stray truck every now and then through here, and even though we will stop them, we haven't issued any citations, basically because we don't have it posted properly. So I think that would be hard to enforce. So that would help us with enforcement of keeping trucks out, and at least have some teeth to that to be able to issue.
So you need how many signs then?
I was recommending we order 20 of the no-through trucks. One additional Dayton Street Road marker.
Where was that gonna go?
And a additional, the street markers will be up on Haggerty and down at Wyandotte. And then at 375 for northbound traffic on Dayton Road, I'd like to see a town of Dayton sign there with a no-through truck underneath that. So we would need a town of Dayton marker down at that location. Additionally, that I added this just in that second list, I thought it would be beneficial to put dead-end signs at the ends of West End Drive and Shady Lane, just so traffic knows that there's no exit. So we haven't had too many issues, none that I can remember. I think it would be helpful if the trucker did get lost and waylay got there, he said, well, I can go through there and make a roundabout. Then we decide to turn down another street, just another little added protection.
Or update the signage in town, I think that makes sense, so.
So other than locates, I think it totals around $600 in signage. It's not labor locates or anything like that, or the installation.
So we need a motion to okay the signs. Make a motion to spend $650 for 700 on the signs that Scott wants. For the, for no food truck signs or anything.
There's been a motion made by Ron and seconded by Carla to spend $650 or $700 on these signs. Is there any discussion or questions, comments? How do you vote, Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so let's sign it up.
On that same topic, and this is nothing we have to decide today, but I was trying to determine how we would enforce what is local traffic. Obviously, it's self-explanatory if somebody has business in Dayton, but we do have some businesses on our outside of town brand down on 375, plus you get farm traffic. Are they going to be considered local traffic? And if we open the door to say, okay, we're not going to stop semis from delivering the brands, let's say someone who's developed a warehouse up on Haggerty, say, well, we're just as local as brands, why are you bothering us? They decide to come off the interstate and go around the back of it, so to speak. So just kind of think on that some, I will too, how we would force that. Obviously, all of this is discretionary, so it doesn't mean it's written in stone, and we have to do it one way or another as far as who we warn and who we cite. That's just kind of something I was
It's kind of a difficult spot, though.
My initial thought was, okay, I see a venture truck turn on Dayton Road, I'll follow it and see where it's going. Well, he obviously heads up to a warehouse up towards Veterans. He shouldn't have took Dayton Road and get stopped for that violation.
You're talking brand just right over here.
No, I'm talking brand down on 375.
Across the interstate.
Yeah, across the interstate. They get a lot of deliveries down through that road.
You think it'd be easier way to get there, to come up all the way to Dayton and down the right?
52.
Yeah.
They can, but that's not the easiest way to come in from that side of things.
I say let's not bend the rules yet until we're forced to look at it. But I'm a rule follower.
The next topic I have is, back in 2014, we adopted a fine schedule under the parking ordinance 7599, and we changed the penalty. It used to read
any amount up to a certain amount, they may be $500. This is a parking penalty. We changed that to have a fine schedule for 25 the first offense, 50 the second, 75 third, 100 the fourth. And I believe the reason behind changing that was to take some of the discretion away from the police department. We were afraid that maybe a road marshal might get in here and start off issuing 500 fines for minor offenses. I don't believe that this ordinance is sufficient to deter commercial traffic and parking violators. For normal residents, it's fine, and we haven't had that many problems, but had to deal a lot with the commercial truck drivers down on Hine and Yost Drive in particular. And the $25, a lot of guys will pay a $25 fine, that's cheap parking. So I think it needs to be changed, the ordinance needs to be changed to, if we can, if it's a commercial vehicle for hire, the offense is increased, or worded somehow different, to whatever our attorney would recommend. But I think it needs to at least be doubled for a first offense for a commercial vehicle.
We can do that, if you wanna do that. So what we'd have to do is we just have to have like classes of vehicles and then like a schedule for, you know, a passenger car is blah, 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 and then a schedule for, you know, commercial vehicles, vans, you know.
Will we just do commercial and non-commercial?
Yeah, the only thing is we need to kind of think about exactly what you mean by commercial. So like, if you had like a semi-truck, that would probably clearly fall in commercial. But if you had like a bigger, you know, 12-passenger van or a panel van or something, is that gonna fall within commercial? How do you do that? That sort of thing.
I would say for DOT regulated, they're commercial, and they would fall into this.
It's fine.
So it's posted down there where you say you're having those problems, right?
Yes.
It's posted like 10 times.
Yeah, very well posted.
It's very,
And you know,
I'm not sure $50 to start with is enough.
I just throwing it out there. I'm not against anything.
Well, I mean, the other thing you can do is you can start it at $50, see how it goes for a couple of months. If it doesn't work out, then you can always change it.
I mean, you know, for residents, having that first offense, second offense, the people you know, and it's easier to track. Commercial vehicles and those drivers, they may pass through once a year. So I don't really would like to see a schedule for them. I would like to see some substantial fine, and they know, the word will get out. It's already gotten out pretty good, but if they start having to pay out $100 or whatever you suggest,
Yeah.
So what would you suggest?
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I mean, if it's posted and you park there,
Substantial.
you know,
Yeah.
why,
And we try to use some common sense when we're doing this. If I see a vehicle pull up in front of the VP and he's just sitting on his truck and I roll up on him and he's going to get a warning. My unwritten rule is when I got to go up and knock on the door and they get out of their sleeper because they've been there all night, they're getting a ticket. So we use some common sense and discretion.
Yeah.
Pardon?
oh my Lord.
If they're crawling out of their sleeper, they're going to get a ticket.
Can you send me that, ordinance?
Sure.
So you okay with that?
And she'll draft it and then you.
I'll draft it and you can approve it. So it sounds like we want two schedules, well, not schedules, we want a schedule for first offense, second offense, third offense. We want to keep that the same, but we want to change it to non-commercial vehicles. And then for commercial vehicles, just a flat $100 fine. Okay, got it.
Do we need to specify like you did the DOT?
Yeah, I got that. Yep, I got it. So we'll put that in there.
But Okay, the last thing I had is to report back on the flock license plate reading cameras. Those were the cameras that are placed on a post on the highway that read license plates and send out alerts to us who are on the program of vehicles that are expired, stolen, entered as a amber alert or a silver alert, or any number of things that we're wanting to be on the lookout for that vehicle. Price-wise, we had a meeting, virtual meeting with the council liaisons and discussed the system. Of course, they would like to blanket the town and encompass the town with safety, which would be a wonderful idea. The idea being if a crime is committed in Dayton, a camera could catch that vehicle leaving town north, south, east, or west. Conversely, if the criminal's entering town with a stolen vehicle, you would need a second camera, north, south, east, west, to blanket the town with coverage. So obviously that gets kind of expensive. We passed around the idea of getting one or two cameras. One is already being placed by the county for westbound traffic down by I-65. So ideally, by the time we get an alert on that, it's probably going to be past us and heading into Lafayette. If we were going to install a camera, the first priority in place would be at that same location for eastbound traffic, catching everything coming in on 38 and off of I-65. We would get alerts from that. A second camera, if we were to consider that, would be on the east end of town for westbound traffic, to catch traffic into town. The cost is $3,000 per camera per year, with an initial charge of $650 installation per camera. These cameras they're under contract. Maintenance-wise, if something's wrong with the camera that is manufacturer problem, they'll replace it. If it's frozen or something like that, they said that they would replace it. But if it's mowed over in an accident, we would have to replace it. If it's vandalized, we would have to replace it. So those are some things to consider.
We'd probably put them on insurance.
I would assume so.
Well, and if you property damage, you go after the person who mows it over too,
Yeah.
if it's an accident.
If you can do it, yes.
So is the cost, I mean, there's a service that's behind this. So the camera itself isn't $3,000, but the camera and the monitoring.
And the interface, the software with the national database and local database.
So if something did happen to it, you had to replace the camera, would it be another $3,000? It doesn't seem
It doesn't
like
do that.
I thought it said yes.
Yeah, I think he said that.
that doesn't seem right to me necessarily.
Yeah.
Who's taking care of the cost of the one that they're gonna be putting in?
The county.
The county's got that. Did you guys ask about any grants or anything on this?
We did, and he suggested a generic grants help website. I've been on it before, they're basically help. I mean, if you dig, then they need some grants available.
Right. I think maybe going forward, in the future, we probably want to try and find something out about grants, because I gotta think the safety aspect is probably something out there.
You know, this is a recurring theme, and I really think that the town, I would propose you hire somebody that does grants, digs into grants. And
Right.
I think it would be money well spent. There's lots out there. You hear about lots of grants. We're looking into one currently to possibly pay for a police car, but it's a lot of time and effort to fill these out.
Right.
Well, I think they're very beneficial to protecting the town. Every camera you put up is an added layer of security. I mean, it's a set of eyes that are there when you don't have a police officer. It can help you solve crimes. If you've got a witness that happened at this time, you can watch the camera to see what is on it. Obviously, the busier the time period during the day, but it's harder to do. 50 dark colored SUVs you're looking for, but you can query the search by vehicle and vehicle color. You don't necessarily have to have a license plate. You know, if my victim is sure that a black green Cherokee Jeep was involved in that, I could search just for those, and it will observe for those and weed out that information, the extraneous vehicles, and give you photos of those vehicles leaving.
The reason we always had the police station up there and then mark the signage is that, because we were by the interstate to keep people coming in and people coming into our town, and this would read every license plate coming in and do a quick check for they're stolen or.
And this is monitored 24/7.
Yeah, it's feeding into an electronic database 24/7. And it's, we have a low crime rate here. It's more of a proactive approach. In places that have had high crime rates where they've installed a lot of these, say Chicago or places like that, they have seen significant decreases in their criminal activity just because the reputation's getting out. You don't want to go through there and do something because they're going to catch you because you're on camera or whatever. So it's kind of a deterrent effect as the word gets out amongst the criminals. I mean, we would probably see more initial traffic related things versus plates, expired plates, stolen vehicles, things like that. But it's just another tool in the toolbox to help protect the town that's there all the time. And we've used cameras on the building in different criminal-related things to help look for people, look for criminals.
In this film we watched, the ship, we talked about some town and somebody stealing a kid, Amber Alert or something, they put out this network thing immediately and got her down in Georgia or something within hours or something.
They,
Pretty amazing when you watch it.
The victim obviously had her child stolen from the front yard, and she was all stressed, all flustered. And she says, it was a Honda Accord, not remember the exact make, but she said, I don't remember the color or anything. So they brought up the cameras in that area and nailed it down to 2 Honda Accords were in that area at that specific time frame. And one was a black, one was a silver. They showed her pictures of those. She goes, oh, it was that silver one. And they had a plate off of that vehicle and then put out an alert. And within 4 hours, I think it was another state away, that vehicle was found pulled over with a child in it and the driver arrested. So
Because of these cameras.
Pretty neat.
I'm not opposed to these cameras, I think that they're great. I don't know that we should start with 4 of these cameras, I think they're gonna be more of a deterrent than anything, because we just got one
Did you
guy.
Did you go for the one?
I go for him. I'm just saying, by the time he gets a hit, the car's gonna be out of Dayton probably. Like, unless they stay in Dayton. But if it's a car going through Dayton, by the time he gets the hit and comes from wherever he is, like, the car's probably gonna be gone. So I think they're gonna be more of a deterrent than,
It's a good thing the
I
county's
hope-
got one going that way, we have one this way,
Yeah.
that'd cover a lot
Yeah.
to start with it.
but they would still be helpful, like, if they were going through and it was some bad guy with somebody, even if we didn't stop them, they would know that they were on this camera at this time going that way.
Right.
So, not at all opposed to them, but I think we should start with 1, see how we like it.
I believe that 1 is sufficient to start out with. This is a new program, this is something that's new to us. We can add to it at any time.
Yeah,
Let's, if you're gonna go, if you're interested in it, we wanna see if it works.
think,
They did-
look, I'm
They
sorry.
did say it was like 6 months.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it was, yeah.
6 month wait to get all of us to have it installed.
So it's $3,000 and $6,000 installed.
600.
$650. And they want a 2-year contract. So basically you're talking 6,650.
Is it billed annually?
Yes.
So it's 3,000 this year, 3,000 next year.
3,650 this year. And then just 3,000.
That's a good idea.
Then when that contract is up, do you have to renegotiate? Is there a renegotiation? Or is it,
Probably
you
whatever.
sign up for 2 more years and it's still 3,000 a year?
Yeah, I don't know about that. You know how that's probably going to go.
Yeah.
If it's still the same in 2 years, I'd be shocked.
And there are other cameras like this, but he was very sure that they were the,
Well, if this is what the county's going with, I think we're probably wise to try and
Yeah.
Lafayette, West Lafayette, Purdue
uh-huh.
are all have numerous of these cameras
And we couldn't do a different camera and still, like,
and tie into the,
Yeah, he brought up the network across the United States is all over the place. One thing to have a camera, but you got a network of all these other states.
the other advantage, right? You get a car that you're looking for that did something in Dayton, it's kind of heading to Lafayette, so you can alert them and their cameras will be certain. Well, we actually already can do that, but we would get access, a little more access by being in the system.
Well, I think it's expensive, but I feel like it's probably a good idea, so I'm gonna make a motion that we go with the 2-year contract, spend the $6,650.
Second.
there's been a motion made by Mark and seconded by Ron to get one camera for 2 years for $6,650. Is there any questions or comments? Where's this camera going?
Down at the police station, police contract,
Yeah.
section 38.
Anybody? Okay, how do you vote, Mark?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We're spending money like we got it. Oh,
Saves one person,
Yeah.
one kid or something. So I like
do you have anything else?
No, any questions for me?
Nope. Thank you. Public comment?
And Scott, he was saying too,
So,
it doesn't,
yeah, that's all it is. The only other thing was this.
Just license plate, it's not facial recognition
And-
technology.
And as with the Axon one and that one, you'll send it to us for sign.
Sure. That to you after we change.
Great, love that. Put her to work. She loves reading these things. Yes, read it. He's gonna get that contract to you, so that you can read it.
I think I've already, the block one,
Is it the same?
well, there are parts of it that are the same.
No, Flock's not part of Axon.
It's not part of Axon?
No.
Oh, okay.
See, I told you she loves reading them. Mark, did you have any council comment?
No.
Ron? What? What?
Stop myself. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Oh,
I do that sometimes.
you don't have any comments? Carla, do you have any comments?
I just have a question on what the status is on the art funds and I still remember us talking what we're gonna do.
Yeah, we have not done anything with them.
Right.
They're just sitting.
but you can use it for a variety of things, but it has to really, with the exception of the wastewater and water infrastructure and like public health and safety, it really has to kind of tie to COVID. So there are certain things you can't use it for. You can't use it for like economic development type like facilities, like a conference center or something like that. But you pretty much use it for anything else as long as you can connect it to the pandemic.
The mental health or physical.
So
So-
safety, so.
So safety we could use it for.
So, okay, so the
So
sampling,
cameras,
the
is that you
the
covered in
sampling, sampling stations, have they been paid for already? That's water.
So, yeah, you can use it for infrastructure for wastewater and water, that's easy. Like, you can pretty much use it for any infrastructure for that.
We have to pay for the installation for that yet too, so.
So that's something, you can use it for public health and responding to the public health emergency, so like all of the vaccination stations and all of that good stuff. You can use it for households that had a disparate impact by the pandemic. You can use it for small businesses and do some small business lending if you wanted to do that. Nonprofit assistance. You can use it for public safety, public health, and human services. So you can use it for staff. You can use it for like police officers, sheriffs, firefighters, emergency medical, correctional, dispatchers, all of that good stuff.
Is it perimeters or just however we choose?
What was your, I'm sorry, what was your question?
Well, you said staff, so are the parameters around that?
Yeah, so like staff being like police officers, sheriffs and sheriff's deputies, firefighters, emergency
Right,
medical
right,
responders.
so we have some of those, so because
I
we can just give them money, or are there
You
parameters
can
on
use it-
under whatever guys we give it to?
So you can use it for payroll and covered benefits for public safety, public health, healthcare, human services, and similar employees of recipient government for the portion of the employee's time spent responding to COVID-19. So like if you spent, I don't know, a good example would be like if you had a health, the county health department person or people, they spent 90% of their time responding to COVID-19, you could technically use that money to reimburse yourself for their wages for
So we gotta go back 3 years to figure that all out.
Yeah, yeah. And then you just have to assess the portion to the eligible staff and then figure that out. You can use it to hire people that were laid off due to the pandemic or that you did not hire because of the pandemic. So like if you were gonna hire new staff and then you didn't, like for administrative positions, that sort of thing, you can use it for that. You can use it for administrative needs, for programs responding to the public health emergency and its economic impacts. And then you can use it for capital expenditures, but there are certain capital expenditures you cannot use it for. Some that they have said are not eligible are construction of new correctional facilities, construction of new congregate facilities to decrease the spread of COVID-19 in the facility, construction of convention centers, stadiums, or other large capital projects intended for general economic development or to aid impacted industries. And then you can use it for other things that are not listed in there if there is a public health or negative economic impact on an individual or class, and there's like a whole framework to figure out if something would qualify if it does not fall within those categories. You can use it for premium pay, so paying additional money to an employee because of their response to COVID, or you can use it for water and sewer infrastructure, broadband infrastructure, and that's pretty much it. So that's the whole summary of this 50-page guide.
I don't necessarily want to use it for this, but didn't they say at one point that first responders, like police officers and stuff, all that payroll counted as do it, it's a dumb question.
Yeah, I mean, they may have said that. The thing is, basically, this is just the, like, shortened, condensed version. There's a
Yeah.
whole lot longer, final rule on what you can and can't use. I did not
Right.
choose to review that today.
It's basically more like figure out what you want to use it for, and then figure out what parameters that fits in.
Correct, and then
Like
once
how
we
to
figure
how
out,
to tie it to COVID, and how, you know, how do we get it tied back to COVID, and there's
right,
really
which is
very
why,
little impact as far as the town.
Well, no, like COVID, you want, like, a lot, back in the day, when people were like gung-ho spending this money, it was like, one of the responses to COVID was like outdoor socialization. So they were spending it on like beautifying outdoor spaces because then people can gather outdoors instead of indoors and stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, in theory, you could do that. What I have
Right.
noted from a lot of communities and like the listservs I'm on and stuff is that most communities this size, and some larger ones, are mostly just using it for utility infrastructure to improve their wastewater and water facilities because that's usually a problem for communities.
Yeah.
And they never have money for it, and they're pretty much unrestricted. I mean, it's got some restrictions, but as far as the restrictions go, that's the least restrictive. Like if it, pretty much if it falls in wastewater or water, you're gonna be able to get away with it. So,
Does it have to be
Buy a bunch
appropriate?
of meters.
Does it have to be appropriated?
That sounds like
Yeah.
a great idea.
Question.
Oh, they're so hard, they're expensive, can we buy a bunch of meters?
I think so. If it's necessary infrastructure, yeah.
Can we buy light posts with it?
Yeah,
Get
because-
people out gathering
exactly.
outside.
Marcia Taylor?
Would there be advantages of putting the police department on the town water supply and getting it off
Yeah,
well?
that would be a
So we
great,
can stop paying Culligan?
Putting
What's that?
the,
no, I think it'd be a great idea to run, just get the water down.
putting the town police
Are you,
department
you're on sewer?
Yeah.
on the utilities. The cost has always been a prohibiting factor, but as things develop that way and are aging well, which we're getting treated, you know, monthly, and it's barely keeping up as far as the hardness and water and things like that. Throwing that out there might be a good time
Yeah.
for that project.
I think that would be fine. I think you could probably get away with buying meters. It says that a necessary investment in infrastructure must be responsive to an identified need to achieve or maintain an adequate minimum level of service, which may include a reasonable projection of increased need, whether due to population growth or otherwise, a cost-effective means for meeting that need, taking into account available alternatives, and for investments in infrastructure that supply drinking water in order to meet a projected population growth, projected to be sustainable over its estimated useful life. So I think we could probably
You
fit
can't
it
have
here.
one of them.
We could fix Scott's wastewater sewage pipes down there that keep backing up all the time. Get it done right.
And we may have that problem.
But
How much,
Alleviate
how
it
much
for
money
now.
is in this fund?
This sounds like way less fun than I wanted to do. Sorry. 300 and, what would you expect?
But
Oh, that's
Approximately
Once-
50.
that's close enough.
once you decide what you want to do with it, then you have to adopt an ordinance that says, here's what our plan is, and here's what we're gonna do with it. And then you can change that, but every time that you change it, you have to re-adopt the ordinance and and then you have to appropriate it.
How long do we have to?
I think we've got through the end of this year to get that
I
ordinance.
thought it was through the end.
It might be the end of next year. I'd have to double check.
And we don't have to have it spent, we have to have it.
No, we just have to have a plan.
Mhm.
Okay, but then how long do you have to spend it?
I think you have through 26 to spend it. Yeah, so we've got some time, but it's just something to think about. But
Yeah.
essentially, basically what you guys need to do is kind of decide what sorts of things you might want to use it on, and then you kind of say, hey Alicia, can we? And then I will look. And that's the best way to kind of go about it, because otherwise, it's a very broad, very broad group of things, just whether or not you can actually fit it in the categories. But because the final rule is a cajillion pages, I'm exaggerating, but
Barely
a bunch of
exaggerating.
pages. I'm not gonna sit there and just read it for fun. So if you have sections that you want me to look at, I'll look at those.
Can you read, if you can do like, police, can you do like, over in the centers over there, redo all the plumbing and all the wastewater and the
Well,
water over there?
Probably not in that facility, because I think that's gonna count as like your repair something that you got, so doing it
If we do the
individually.
ditch up, like we've been talking about behind all the houses up along the west side of Dayton Road, that's gonna probably be
You could probably do,
20,000-30,000.
yeah, you could probably do something like that, because that's gonna be for the benefit of,
Yeah.
not that the community center wouldn't be for the benefit of everybody, but I don't think you can do specific plumbing projects, it's gotta be more like a widespread.
I think getting water down to the police station and down to that end down there, so that it would be tapped onto in the future. I think
That
that's.
would be good.
So you can sell our pumpkin patch?
Yeah, I know.
I know what you're doing. You're selling my pumpkin patch.
Well, you could extend lines, so if you're extending a line to take it down to
Okay,
future
to a new
growth,
area.
yes, that would count, that's, yeah. But whether or not fixing the police station's specific plumbing problem, that I don't know that we can do.
Or we can keep the well in there.
Well, yeah, keep well, definitely
For the
well.
pump.
Okay, anything else? Having no, yep.
Okay, so I realized that I did have the contract for the furnace only,
Oh.
and I had,
She's so fast.
Well, I mean, it's mostly just specs, so they don't really have any need to
but
it.
Oh,
there's 5-year parts and 1-year labor warranty on it, so
cool.
Yeah.
kind of answer that question.
So that part's fine, and then he's gonna give you the service contract.
Yeah, the service contract will just, that'll be separate, so I'm going to get this rolling tomorrow. Okay?
Equally as fun.
Having no other business before us, this meeting is adjourned.